Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for praying and many of you investing in some of the ones that went and giving to help them get there. Several years ago, my wife challenged me. It was my wife, a little over since we've been married, she's been telling me this. But she said, Matt, if you ever go on a mission trip, it'll change your life and you'll go on another one. And I was that person for 15 years of our marriage that I told her, I said, someone else can do it. Someone else can do it. I'll be a part of Faith Promise, but that's for somebody else. And I went on my first trip, and 5 trips later, here I am. And I love every bit of it. And I want to say thank you so much for those that gave and for those who have prayed. And while we were gone, I'm telling you, there was times we didn't know if we were ever going to get there. And it was a journey, but it was awesome. And I want to say to all the ladies that went with me, that sounds weird, but it is. All right. To all the ladies that went with me, I want to say this on record in front of all of you. Those are some of the hardest working human beings I've ever been around in my life. Seriously. When I think of a mission trip, there's a difference between a mission trip and a vacation. And when I go on a mission trip, me personally, I love sightseeing, but I want to do something. And I've always said that every trip I've ever been on, Jenny can tell you. And this was one of those trips, you did something. And it started at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you didn't get done until about 7 o'clock at night. And to God be the glory. If many of you have seen it on Facebook, you'll see that we were able to see 1,800 patients in 4 days. And we had a lot of setup, 1,800 patients, and many, they're still calculating because they're still having the gospel conversations, many salvations. And so it's pretty awesome. But I've got to start by giving some awards away for this trip. And there's 3 awards I want to give away for this trip. So I'm trying to get you to act like you were on the trip. All right? And so if I had to give them the most energetic, which we were very tired, but if I had to give the most energetic award away, it had to go to Charity. She's not here, but, and I'm being sarcastic with these. You can have fun with it, all right? But if you followed her on Facebook, you know every single day she had multiple Facebook Live videos. And trust me, she was working, but that was during her breaks. And they'd come around and say, hey, you can take a break, you can take a break. And if she was taking a break, she was doing a Facebook Live video. But then we had one that was probably the most fearful. And where's Bailey at? Yeah, Bailey's back here. And for the food, give her chicken finger and fries, and she was happy, you know. And I'm just kidding. But then there was the most courageous. So from most fearful to most courageous. And if I had to give the most courageous award away, I had to give it to Amy Choate. And this was my favorite line of the whole week. Hey guys, has anybody seen Amy? And on the way, we were going through customs right after a long week, headed back at 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe earlier than that. It was probably 3 o'clock in the morning. And we were in Nicaragua airport, and we were all going through customs, looking around. We're all together because we're trying to make sure we all get through together. And that's one thing you do. Bags, who cares? People, that's what matters. And everybody, I was like, hey, we're missing one. Same one. Where's she at? They're like, oh, she's buying souvenirs. I said, at 3 o'clock in the morning? And I said, look at it. But we had a great time. And so, it was a eventful and fun trip. It all started with our delays. If you followed last week, the delays in the airport, we left here at the church at 1 o'clock, got to Knoxville at 3 o'clock. United didn't even open up to check people in till 4 o'clock. And the first thing the lady comes out and she sees all of our luggage as we're traveling with 13 bins and all of our, with medical supplies to help MMO, then all of our luggage. And the lady looks at me, she goes, evidently you haven't heard. And I said, no. She said, there ain't no flights nowhere in the U.S. And I said, what? And she's like, when we decide to let people fly, we'll let you. We didn't even leave Knoxville till like 8 or 9 o'clock that morning. We were supposed to leave at 7 o'clock. So we were supposed to arrive in Nicaragua at noon at lunch. And we didn't even arrive in Nicaragua until 11 o'clock that night. And so it was funny. I'm sure there's a picture floating around somewhere. We had this big, all 13 of us laying in the airport floor. And we had a great, again, we can have fun with anything. So that's where it all started. Saturday, we started. They don't have no rest for the weary. Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, we jumped up and we started putting the clinics together. We were there to help a church planner. Brian, I think we got a picture of the church planner, don't we? I want to show you this because this is a cool story. I'm going to kind of lay the groundwork and then let them talk about the clinic and all that to you guys. But in this picture, the young guy that's standing next to me was the church planner that we went to help. His name's Jaron. But in this picture, what is so cool is you're looking at 3 generations of missionaries. His granddad, who's 83 years old, had recently retired, but was a missionary. His son, who's in the middle there, is a church planner in Nicaragua, and then his son is also a church planner in Nicaragua. And so I was like, man, I got to get my picture. Those guys, that's what you call heroes, all right? No Olympic gold medal, and I'm not trying to play on your emotions, but no Olympic gold medal compares to that. And those are our heroes. And I tell my kids who are teenagers, I said, those are your heroes. And that's the Rogers, all of them. And a really cool story, but we got ready to meet them on Saturday. Then we turned around Saturday afternoon and set up for our clinics, which consisted of dental, medical, a pharmacy, and then also the dental, the optical. So we had all of those going on in our clinic, and a really neat setup. But anyway, so then Sunday we had church. And we got to have church with Jaron, the young church planner. Hopefully sometimes we can have him in when he's in the States, and you get to meet him and his wife. I think they have 5 kids. And man, just unbelievable. The guy, he preached in Spanish and translated in English all at the same time. He preached, he'd say a line or two and then turn around and say it in English. He did that for an hour or 45 minutes at least. And I was like, holy smoke. And that's what I said the whole trip too. I was blown away. But anyway, I wanted you to be able to meet them because this was the goal of MMO, was to go to different places around the world, meet church planners, and to be able to help and use these clinics, take a physical need to meet a spiritual need. And Jaron was blown away at what God did that week. I'm going to have the ladies, let's do this. Hey, why don't y'all all come up to be a moral support? You can sit in the choir. And so they already know what order they're going in. And we want to go. We don't want to linger around and hold you up. And I'll be honest with you. We were so tired. We only met one time, and that was Thursday night. Brittany, you come ahead. We met one time Thursday night because after every day, we were tired. And we would sit around and laugh so hard over stuff that didn't even make sense because we were so tired. And then we'd go to bed. And so, but I'm anxious as much as you are to hear what God did in these ladies' lives.
So I'm Brittany, for anybody that doesn't know me. And if you don't know me, I'm not big on public speaking, so I apologize. So the picture that I chose is actually, this is Pastor's dad, Jason. And so the way that the clinic was set up is they would bring in about 40 people, set them up on both sides as you can see. He would preach to them for a solid 20 minutes or so. Then he would release them to go to registration. So every single person out of the 1,800 plus heard the gospel. And just knowing that they heard it in their native tongue, where they could comprehend it, being able to see it and see God work through that was by far the most amazing thing. Like, people have asked me, oh, what was your favorite part of the trip? And you want to come up with these cool things like, oh, I met this little kid that did so-and-so, or, oh, this place was so beautiful. It was getting to watch him preach the gospel and getting to see the emotion. And one of the first mornings, we had devotions with our group every morning. And one of the first mornings, Joseph actually said, how much of your understanding of the gospel is American and how much is biblical? And I used that to propel myself. My job was a runner. So as they were sitting there hearing the gospel and getting ready for registration, once they got registered, I got to take them to wherever they were going. And there were 2 runners, so I got to see about half of the people that came through. So there was a language barrier, obviously. We couldn't have a whole lot of conversation, but to see their faces after they hear about God and those that really clung to that, and just to see the joy on their faces, and the people that would come back through saying, Dios le bendiga, which means God bless you, and these little women, saying hallelujah and amen, and knowing that Like, they got to hear about Christ, something that we so often take for granted. We live in America. We have freedom of speech. We get to come to church. But there are roughly 3 billion people in the world that have never heard about Jesus. And all of these souls got to hear about him. And even though we may not ever see like the fruit of that, it's going to continue for generations. Just like the planting church generations that Matt had the picture with. That's a generational thing, and these people that get saved through this, that will affect their whole family and their eternities and their communities, and we got to be a small part of that. And there's no amount of gratitude that I could express to those people that helped me get to go, to the people that prayed for us, to the people that helped look out for my kids while I was gone. I realized when we got there, I was the only one that had small kids at home. So that was hard. But I have a family here, a family of God in my church that I can lean on. And now we have in Nicaragua a whole community of people that have that same thing. And I'm so thankful for that. And that's the highlight of my trip, other than trying to hear all of these ladies try to pronounce Spanish words and phrases, which I'm sure you all will get a taste of shortly. So that's all I've got.
Okay, so being Brittany's mother, I'm just going to tell you I also don't like public speaking. But I love this little boy. So, and he's part of what hit me was Wednesday morning when we pulled in, there was such a line of people waiting, and it was 30, 45 minutes before the clinic even opened, and there was this huge line of people waiting on us that were just patiently waiting their turn. And it struck me that they were so grateful for the basic medical needs that we take for granted every day. And they waited, some of them waited all day. We'd see people come in first thing in the morning, and they'd come through triage, and they'd get their blood pressure checked, and 2 hours later, we'd see them going over to optical and getting glasses, and they were all day, but all of them had smiles on their faces. They had such joy because they felt so blessed by this little thing. This little boy's mom, he's 2. His mom is 15. She had him when she was 13. She was the best mother I think that I saw the whole time we were there. She took such good care of him. And it wasn't oh my goodness, I'm a teenage mother, get me on MTV. She was genuinely, she cared for this child, and she was so grateful that he got to come into the clinic and he got to get little vitamins and he got to get things done that we can go to Walmart and buy children's vitamins all day long, but they don't have access to things like that. And what struck me was they waited so patiently all day long. I got upset this morning because the rain made me 10 minutes late for a meeting. And these people are here for 6 hours waiting to get their blood pressure checked to find out that they don't have high blood pressure. And it made me realize that we take for granted the little blessings. Clean water. We can drink water from the tap. We can flush toilet paper. You can't flush toilet paper in Nicaragua. And these are things that we all take for granted that they think are the biggest blessings. And I realize that I don't take time to notice the small blessings. I just notice the big ones. Oh my gosh, this worry's off my mind. God answered this prayer. But God answers prayers sometimes that we don't even pray for. He gives us things that we don't ask for because we need them, and he knows we need them. And he automatically takes care of us. And I don't stop to thank him for the little things that he does for me every day that we take for granted because we live here where we can take it for granted. But over there they can't. And the joy that they had for something so trivial that we think is such an everyday thing here is what really impacted me.
Hey, so guess where I served? I was in the pharmacy, and there's my crew right there in that picture. And now I know what you're thinking. There's a child there. What's up with, is there child labor laws in Nicaragua? that is actually one of the children of the missionary. So that's me. You might recognize Marley there. And then that's Angel and Lacey. And then that little girl there is Minnie. And she and I became like best friends. She said that Marley was her best friend, but I don't believe her. Don't believe her when she says that. That's my min-min. So yeah, but one thing that I was so excited about was I got to like interact with the missionaries' kids. You know, one thing whenever they come here, we think about the missionary, his wife, and y'all know me, I'm all about children's ministry. So whenever I got to be around their kids, I was like on cloud nine, and they loved me, I loved them. It was just really awesome. So that was one thing I was super, super excited about. It was a really humbling experience. So I didn't get a lot of interaction with the patients. Anytime I would get interaction with them, it would be just counseling over their prescriptions. And every bag that we gave them with medicine, it had multivitamins and a toothbrush and all of their other medicines. And the thing that they loved the most out of the whole bag was a toothbrush. Like, I would hold it up and I would just be like, here's the toothbrush. And they would just, you would have thought that I gave them a Camaro or something. Like, they were just over the moon over this toothbrush. And that was just something that I was like, are you kidding me? Like that? Wow. And one thing that God was really working on my heart like the whole week was my attitude. So Matt told you guys, so we went whenever there was the Microsoft crash, and that was a lot of fun. So we were sitting in the airport, all of us, especially when we were in Houston with our very long layover, we had some bad attitudes. Some attitudes were worse than others. But I'm up there too, so it's fine. I'm not calling people out. But I was just like, come on, like, let's get this show on the road. Let me help serve people. Come on, God. Like, you know, like, I was just being like that. And then, like, we'd get there, and I'd be like, okay, come on, let's just do this. And, like, let me help these people. But God was really working on my heart. And, like, whenever I would see some of these people, I would just, like, God really just dealt with me, like, see them as a person that Jesus died for on the cross. And, like, each and every one of them are like that. One of the biggest, like, life-changing moments where God really dealt with me was we were on our way to the clinic, and we would all just be jamming out to Christian music and stuff. And one of the songs that came on was The Goodness of God, you know, one that we sing here. And we were just singing it, and we get to the clinic, and there is a huge line before we even get there. And they're just lined up, and they're just waiting to be served. And you know, at first I was thinking like, man, I am so blessed. But then you see these people and you get to hear some of their stories and stuff. And they're so blessed too because of who they have, and they have Christ. Because like, this is something that Joseph said. He said, when it comes to spiritual matters, there is no third world. And that is something that really just struck me, because I think one of them said too, like, we're just beggars showing other beggars where to go. So that's just like, he really dealt with my heart there. And it just goes to show you that the message of the gospel is sufficient, no matter where you are. So yeah, that's what I've learned this past week. And I had fun, and yeah, and I loved getting to know these ladies and Matt more. So thanks.
I have notes. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to God for allowing me to serve Him. And thanks for this church and Mike and Patty Shope for allowing me to be a part of this team. It has been such a blessing. And of course, you heard about when we took off, we were so delayed for hours in the airport. So when we got to Nicaragua, it was dark. We couldn't see anything. We couldn't see what was around us on the way there. But the next morning we get started and we head out, and you see all these people lined up on the sides of the roads. It was so dirty. There was mud in the streets. The buildings were falling down, bars on the doors. You really couldn't even see any light inside the homes. It was just so dirty, trash everywhere. And they had come outside and they had set up their fruits and vegetables to sell. There was even chickens that looked like they had just been killed and defeathered and laying there in the hot sun and selling those. we were just so amazed. We are so blessed to be in America. It just, and then when we went to the clinic, those people were so appreciative. A smile, they just lit up, just from a smile, a hug, just anything. In this picture of this little girl, she come in with her dog and her mom and her little brother. And of course, I can't speak Spanish, and I'm trying to explain to her, her mother had told our translator that she had a sore throat and a fever, coughing. And so I was trying to tell her, say "ah," so I could see the back of her throat to see if she had a red throat, because we felt so challenged. We wanted to make sure that we were giving them the right medicine that they needed. So we were trying to see what we needed to do for them. But they were so appreciative. Every one of them just loved us and treated us like angels. Thank you.
I hate this, but we did the optical stuff, like that first little test when you read the letters, and they don't speak English, so that was fun. Our little interpreter, he didn't either, so that was even more fun. But he could speak a little, so we had to kind of wing it. But they would wait, and I'm such a crier. But they would just wait, and they were so thankful that anything you gave them, and so we would, if they had perfect vision, I was like, oh, please let them fail, please let them fail, because they wanted something. If we could give them glasses, they were so happy. But they didn't, half of them didn't, or 3/4 of them didn't need them. But they gave them sunglasses. Well, we ran out of grown-up sunglasses like in 2 days, and then the little kids' sunglasses. And it was like, you would cheer and tell them that their vision was perfect, but they were like, thanks. And they were just, they were happy that they were perfect, but then they were just sad they didn't get anything. So that was hard for me. So I might have pushed people through that didn't need things, so that maybe when they got to Bailey, they would be like, sorry, you don't get glasses. I'm like, sorry, I didn't tell them, no, you did. And I was in Houston, so that wasn't my bad attitude, just for the record. So, but it was humbling to see them and for them to be so appreciative. And no matter what, we gave them Tootsie Rolls, and you would have thought that we had gave them everything. And it was just neat to see. They had nothing, but they felt like they had everything, and they were just happy people to be like, we don't even know the struggles that they have. And it was just something to see. It really was. Thank you.
I don't know, I acted like I had a bad trip. I thought it was pretty fun. I don't know why they were talking about me like that. But I was very fearful most of the time, just because I'd never been out of the country before, so I feel like I should get a little slack for that. And also the airport thing Rachel was talking about. My mom was in the country before we got there, like 6 hours, and I couldn't talk to her. No idea where she was, if she landed. So I did take a walk through Houston Airport by myself to cool down, but I was good. So I also worked in optical and got all the people Mom pushed through. I got the privilege of saying, oh, I have nothing for you. So that was nice of her to do to me. But so I do think I had the best part in optical because we got to see like an instant gratification kind of thing, because Mom's job was like to test their vision to see where they were. And then there was like a second station where they like did the actual auto refractor to see like what their prescription is. And then my part, which my mom also made me do, I didn't want to do that. And she was like, oh, this is a job for Bailey. I was like, okay. And so we had to they would bring us their prescription, and then we had literally just boxes of glasses that were very well organized, so that was nice. But we would literally have their prescription and just start digging and to see if we could find glasses that match them, because they're just glasses that had been given to them. They're not for them. So it was super cool to find literally an exact prescription for this person in Nicaragua. And so this little boy, he didn't need glasses, that's why he has sunglasses on. He actually came with his mom the first day, or the second day, and he cheated for her the whole time, which we can see that. He would just stand, she was try to read the sign, and he would go, E, C. And I was like, you can't cheat, but he can't understand me because he doesn't speak English. And then he came in another day and was cheating for another boy. And I was like, oh, this guy, he's doing great for himself. But He's just a cute little boy that I liked. And then I should have put another picture up there because it's the story I want to talk about. But there was this man that he literally had 20/100 vision. Like he could not see the chart at all. And he was like this old man, and he was carrying this little bicycle pump for his bicycle, and he was just like, just heartbreaking. And like one of the guys told us, he was like, if they're old, don't worry too hard about finding them glasses. Like worry more about the younger people. Like if we can fit them, and this was like one of the later days, and he was like, don't focus so much, like, you know, whatever. And I was like, oh, but this man, he looks so sweet. And so me and another lady there like worked, I don't know how long, we pulled glasses for this guy, and we literally got his vision to 20/30, which was literally crazy because that's what we considered perfect for them, because when they're not really their prescription, you can't expect to get them to 20/20. And I was testing people to 20/20 just to see if I could get them there, and the little lady put sticky notes over my 20/20, so I couldn't keep testing people. But so we got this man to 20/30, which was just super cool to do. So that was one of my favorite parts of the trip. But one way that God like spoke to me there, because again, like I said, I was very fearful the whole time, so I was just kind of like, I feel like in panic mode a lot. But what was his name? Joseph, our leader, he was talking about like blessings that we have in America, that we say blessings. He was like I drive an F-150, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord, for blessing me with that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I like that. Like, oh, I have a car. Like, thank you, Lord, for that. And like, oh, I just bought this thing, and thank you, Lord, for blessing me with that. And then he was like, but if you were to take that same, like what we see as a blessing in America, and put that in Nicaragua, then you would say none of these people are blessed at all, because they have literally nothing. Like, we would drive by, and the houses were like literally just square. I don't even know what they were made out of. And their floors were just complete mud. And there's like literal cows laying in their yard. And like, it was just super, just like eye-opening to see that this is literally our world still, and this is how people are living. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much for my car. And like, to see that the blessings, like not that the Lord didn't bless me with a job that I could buy that car, and like, I am thankful for that, but just like small things that I'm able to see without glasses. That I have my doctor on a phone call that I can call anytime I need to see if I'm scared about this, can I run to your house real quick and check? These people do not have that at all. So it was super cool, because me and Charity were talking, we're like, I feel like I'm not giving these people anything. Like every other mission trip, like I'm out sharing the gospel, or I'm going to church like, 7 nights a week and doing all these things. And this, I'm just like, here's a pair of glasses, and I can't talk to them because I don't speak Spanish. So it was just like, the first couple days I was kind of discouraged, because I was like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. But then just to hear that, and like the blessings that I think is really what the Lord was talking to me more about. Like, okay, like, yeah, maybe you're not sharing the gospel, but he did more of a work, I think, in my heart than I expected to happen. Because I was like, oh, I want to see these people's lives changed. And I didn't, like, Brittany got to hear that all happen, and like I was in a different stage, and so I didn't. But just the little things, like I think it was Vanessa was talking about that I just think are my normal. Like, I don't think about that being a gift from God, or like a blessing that he has given me. So it's definitely, this week being back, I see more of what the Lord was doing in my heart after I got back, rather than when I was there. So, and also thank you to the people who supported me to go there. It was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Thanks.
Hi. So my testimony starts a little like Uncle Matt's, but a couple years ago, when I thought about the mission field and like just ministry in general, like I supported everybody that was in ministry, and I support missions and all that. But a couple years ago, God called me to the mission field, and I battled him for a couple months, and but finally, like when I surrendered, he started to change my heart about it, and then I was just able to go on my first missions trip this past week, and God had worked on me about so much while we were there. But I was really scared to go, and that's what held me back from surrendering. And then on the way to Nicaragua, there was a little incident on the plane, and I was like, what in the world am I doing? Like, why am I going? But throughout the week and stuff, seeing all the people and listening to different people's testimonies, it was just crazy, because I never really saw how big God was. Like, I saw him working in different people's lives, like around me, but I never thought about how he was working across the world. And one of the translators, she was sharing her story with me and how God was working in her heart. And at the same time, like around the same time was when God was making a big move in my family's life. And it just dawned on me that, like, while he's working in my life now, he's working across the world in so many other people's lives. But yeah, it was a huge blessing seeing that. And I'm so thankful for all the people that supported me. And but yeah, thank you.
All right, well, anyway, this was my first mission trip, and so, well, out of the country. I went to the main trip a couple years ago, but this was my first one out of the country, and so I was excited and a bit nervous, didn't really know what to expect, and so, and the first day was exhausting, chaotic. We had a lot of fun. We were sleep deprived, so a lot of the videos you saw were, we just kept cutting up laughing and just had a great time. But anyway, it was a little stressful. And my roommate was Sharon White, great roommate, perfect. She was so thoughtful. She even thought to get the little plastic shower caps that you have and put it over the faucet as soon as we got there so we wouldn't remember to brush our teeth. Melissa didn't have that. That's the first thing she did. She said when she got there was brush her teeth with the water and all the things anyway. But our first day at clinic, Matt told you, was setting up, getting it organized, and getting to meet the rest of the team. And so, and meeting our best friend, Jaron Rogers. That was what we kept telling ourselves in case we went through, when we went through customs, they asked why you were there, who you were going to see, and who invited you. So we had to drill in Jaron Rogers. But that family really is precious. Their children, they just jumped right in and helped you. I mean, they did. They helped all of us in all the different areas of the clinic, and so they were just. And when I came back, that's all I kept thinking about. I kept seeing their faces, and how they're just such a happy family doing what they're doing, and so they really do love doing the Lord's work. I was assigned in triage with Vanessa, and so we didn't get to see every patient, but any patient that went through medical came through our area, and so the language was a bit rough for us. We did not have a translator. Vanessa and I had lots of laughs, and so did the patients coming through, because I was very confusing, and I would tell them to wait here while I was telling them to follow me, and they would stand up, sit down. They didn't know what they were supposed to do, and so we had a great time with that. But so we were very limited with how we could speak to them, and so we're determined to learn Spanish when we go again. That way we can communicate a little better to them. But the first day, this little boy here, I didn't do a whole lot with him. He was just a very busy little boy, and so I was holding him while they were trying to get the mom's blood pressure. He was kind of all over the place, so he wanted to get behind the counter to see what was happening back there. But on the first day, this gentleman came and he had a little girl, and so we had to get their weights, all the kids' weights. And so this little girl was a special needs little girl. She had many problems, and so couldn't have stood up on her own. And so we had to weigh the dad, and then he passed her to me. And so then we weighed the dad, and I just thought how blessed we are to live somewhere where we can get the care that we need, and she probably will never have access to the resources that you could get here in America. But all the people there just they were so appreciative of everything that they could get and how we could help them. And I don't know, it's very humbling. And I definitely want to go again with them. I truly enjoyed traveling with MMO. They're very organized, and I love helping people, and that was a great way to just get in there and do that in a, in that kind of environment. And so I'm thankful for my church family. I know you were all praying for us, and I just thank you for that. And it's definitely something you should consider doing, because it is life-changing, and it's and like they said, God, we're all God's people, and there is no difference in His eyes. But you go somewhere like that, and you just really take for granted the way we live, all the niceties that we have, and just, I don't know, it's just a different way of life there. Even just driving down the road, like Amy said, the garbage, they just would, it's just how they live, and that's just okay, and but I don't know, I enjoyed it. That was my takeaway, that we're so blessed to live the way we live, and that we get to experience and see things. I don't know, I'm just rambling now, but I'm just thankful that God was able to use me in whatever small way he could there, and triage, just taking temperature and, the pulse ox thing. So anyway, but I was a help either way, so I'm just glad I could be the hands and feet. So thank you.
So, buenas tardes. Matt forgot to give me the award of the best Spanish speaker, right? I got made fun of the whole time, but that was okay, because it puts... Introduce yourself. Como se llama is Jennifer, or Hennifer, or Henny. I didn't really like Henny because I just felt like that sounded like a chicken, so... But anyway, it put a smile on their face just to see them, like them seeing you try to just relate with them. So that's pretty much why I did it. But I do want to thank everybody that prayed for us. I know a lot of prayers went up for us. A lot of financial needs were provided for us, and I just want to say thank you for that. So this is... I wrote all this out so you can read it, because I'm not going to get through it. Before I start talking about her, every missions trip that I've went on, I've been challenged before going just to pray and ask God just to give me one person, one specific person. And this was the girl that God gave me, but it wasn't till Wednesday that she came through the line. Her name is Jovaniska, and I told her, I said, I gotta have a shorter name. I cannot remember that. So Jova, if you can remember Jova. But Melissa and I were doing the eye charts every day, and when we got there, we didn't realize that their Spanish letters don't sound like our Spanish letters. So we had to kind of just go with it and think that we knew what they were saying, because every letter was different. But so we're looking at the chart, the people are behind us, and this girl starts saying all the letters in English, and I was just like surprised. So I turn around and look at her, and she's just smiling so big at me, and I said, "You know English," because it was just very rare over there. But that was just kind of an instant connection that we had. And so we talked for a little bit, and she went on to the next room, and her brother needed some special attention. One of his eyes was really cross-eyed, and so they were there for a little while and got help for him and stuff. And later that day, she came back and asked if she was allowed to come back. She said, "I know tomorrow's the last day that y'all will be here, but can I come back and help translate?" And so I gladly accepted that offer, because me and Melissa, we had one translator the whole time, so he was trying to listen to both of our people, and it was actually his very first time of translating. He was 17, and he was just so nervous, and he did great. But so I gladly took her up on it. went and got Pastor Jaron and asked, hey, can she come interpret? She wants to. So he said yes. Well, I didn't really think much about it. I gave her an Elijah track. We had some in English and Spanish. So I gave her the one in English, and I gave her a Spanish one for her family because they didn't speak English. She's actually at a university in Managua where we flew in, and that's where she's learned English, but her family doesn't speak it. But anyway, I gave her that to read that night. And that night I just prayed and asked God. I said, I don't know if she'll come back. I really didn't think she would come back. Even though she was excited about it, I just kind of doubted. But the next morning we got there, and she was there before we even got there, just with a big smile on her face. And she helped me and Melissa all day. And she said, my grandma came at 5 o'clock this morning to get some help, but they had to turn her away because she was coming to get dental help, and the dental was already filled up. And she said she asked if she could come back. And these people don't drive. All these people that came, they were either walked, rode a bicycle, or they taxied in, which wasn't very money because that was expensive, and so not many people were able to do that. And so I told her, I said, tell her to come back. We'll see her however late it is. Well, her grandmother did finally get in at the very end and was able to get some glasses. And so anyway, we just talked and we kind of connected through Instagram, and she messaged me and she said, my abuela says she's delighted because y'all were very nice to her. She wanted me to thank you for coming to Nicaragua to help us who need it the most. So we had some more conversations throughout the day about the Elijah track. I asked her if she read it, and she said yes, but she said, I just need to think about it some more. And so I wish I could say that she accepted Christ while we were there, but she didn't. But like I said, we are going to be connected through Instagram messaging and things like that. And I just ask that you pray for Jova, that she will come to the knowledge. She's very intelligent. As a 17-year-old college student, already learned English, so she has the intelligence. So just pray that the Lord will just convict her heart of her need of salvation. So I just want to leave you with a quick quote. Like they said, every morning we had a kind of a group devotion. And Brother Joseph said, don't feel guilty when you get back home and you have all the things that you had before you came. But remember this, God doesn't give us things just to have them, but to do more with what we have. So just think about that, and thanks again for everything.
One of them mentioned the first day we got there, we saw they had the long line, and we didn't open the clinics until 8:30, and we got there usually around 7:45, and there was hundreds of people just lined up already. And as I passed by that day, I instantly the Lord gave me this passage, and I thought on this passage for the rest of the week. And it was found in Matthew chapter 9. It says, and Jesus went about all the cities, villages, teaching in their synagogue. And preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted as they were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. I began to write some things down while I was there. And I wrote this down. I put, number one, I want to pray, as he said in that passage. I want to pray for our missionaries. Us getting to know the Rogers family, many of them going on their first mission trip and understanding and seeing not just the spiritual, but the emotional things that go on. We left excited to know we were coming back to see you. But when we left, they had nobody. And it was gut-wrenching to just see the impact of those little kids. The mom, Miss Rogers, Nikki, she's been messaging my daughter just for taking the time to braid her daughter's hair and to work with them in the clinic. And but then I also thought about this, and I want to just give you this, and then we're going to watch a video, and we'll be finished. But I thought, what can I personally do to help with more laborers, as Jesus was preaching there in Matthew 9? And I just want to, please take this from my heart tonight, okay? Just take it from my heart. This is not anger. Just take it from my heart and let the Lord deal with you in your life. But here's what I wrote. how am I giving to meet this need for more laborers? How am I giving? Pastor would be the first, and we thank the Lord for what we do here at Faith and how God has blessed us in what we do. Here in just a few weeks, we'll have Missions Month. We'll take on some new missionaries because of your faithful giving. But stop for just a minute and say, am I really giving for the right reason? How am I doing with the laborers? How's it my giving towards laborers to meet this need? Here's another one. Ready? Am I willing, I wrote this down, am I willing to say as Isaiah, here am I, send me? Now, some of you sit there and it goes over your head because you think to yourself, the Lord's not called me to missions. I'm talking even a short-term mission trip. Remember the guy 15 years ago, for 15 years, that said, it's not me. I guarantee you, some of these folks, I guarantee you, if you had asked Miss Tracy several weeks ago, and I'm not picking on her, she hates spiders. She hates bugs. We laugh about it. But if you probably would have told her what she would have seen on that trip, she probably would have said, no, not me. But I'm glad she didn't. So in our giving and our going, and here's my third one I challenge myself with. Investing. You know, a lot of Christians don't see the need of giving or going because they don't see the need here to give or to go. Missions needs to be a priority in all of our lives, whether it's across the sea or just across your street. I chose this picture as my picture because several years ago, I had a friend of mine who's in ministry to challenge me. And he said, Matt, if you can get your kids to go on one mission trip, it'll change their life. When we closed up clinics, and Callie and Charity are going to give it to, Charity's having to work tonight, and Callie's up in the youth and singing tonight with Andrew and them and doing youth, and so they'll both be giving a quick testimony on Sunday morning, but so I'm not going to steal her thrill, I should say, but when we closed up clinic on Thursday night, and that was it. The last patient walked through the gate, they were gone. I looked over at my daughter, and she was in complete tears, hugging a little girl that she helped. She'll never forget that. She'll never forget it. And you know what's so fun? My son, Jed, we still to this day talk about the 2 trips that he went on all the time. All the time. Callie's, we've only been home less than a week, and man, we talk about stuff that she's seen all the time. She'll get in the truck from volleyball today, and we started talking about tonight's testimony, and she started quoting stories, telling me stories. Dad, I missed this. Dad, I missed that. Can I tell you something? Those stories mean more to me than any point she'll ever score in a basketball game. Because she saw something eternal this week when she was on that mission trip. Eternal. It's about investing. We're just going to show you a quick video to kind of take you there with us and just enjoy the pictures for a few minutes, and then Pastor, it's all yours.
You hold my every moment. You calm my raging seas. You walk with me through fire and heal all my disease. I trust in you. I trust in you. I believe you're my healer. I believe you are all I need. I believe, and I believe you're my portion. Here